How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to Never Deck Profile and a Never Interview. This time with Peter Thomas, who took 10th place at last CardMarket Regional that took place on this last Saturday. How you doing, Peter?
Yeah, not too bad, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Congratulations, 10th place.
It's good.
Sorry.
No, yeah. It was a long day, and I didn't get much sleep to begin with, so I'm just happy with 10th.
I bet you're happy that it came to a 7 rounds to the 8 then in the end.
Like in the last round, me and my opponent were just like, "Why is this still going on? Can we just end it?" It's just, yeah, it was long. That no lunch in the middle is a killer.
Yeah, like it is nice to have a little break, but with webcam, you don't want it to take too long.
Yeah, exactly.
So your choice of deck was the SS4 Goku from set 13, which
Uh,
people dubbed Hellku. Was it set 13?
I think it's 14. Is it?
14.
Like it's the most recent yellow, I think.
Okay, yeah, the one that people dub Hellku. That was your
Yeah,
choice for the deck, and you
that's
ended
it.
up doing quite well with it, getting 10th. What was your reason behind choosing this deck over all the other decks that are available?
Well, I before the ban list, I was a mecha player, um, and obviously being banned outright, I was just thinking, well, I've got this entire yellow engine. Can I just shove it in another deck and see if it works? And I just thought, well, Hellku had some cheap cards I can just play for one, double strikes and blockers, and still do some shenanigans. And I thought, yeah, it seemed like a nice fit for my playstyle, and that's why I chose him.
Yeah, because we've seen similar to Vegex, where getting value from what essentially is excavating the top card of your deck and milling it is
Yeah,
is pretty valuable.
yeah, exactly. And it's not just being able to mill the top card. It's a little bit like Invoker where you can kind of see a couple cards ahead, and just being able to use that information can make your plays just really smooth. You can plan well in advance if you can remember, obviously,
Yeah.
and that helps you survive for quite a lot.
So going with your list, you did play a Unison, being the Android 18 one. Was that the
Yeah.
best one for the deck? Like, is it the one that's theme for the deck? Is it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It has an inbuilt Spirit Boost mechanic, which is what the set is about, really. Um, and because it's a +2 as opposed to a +1, like as soon as turn one, turn two happens and it's played, it'll never go. Um, I found the entire day, every matchup, it was only ever removed because my opponent wanted it removed once, just because I had 6, 7, 8 markers right the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just being able to see what the top three cards are, or sometimes being able to -2 just to draw three to filter out my hand. Yeah, it was just amazing. It's needed for the deck, and it synergizes with everything else in it as well.
Yeah, because that +2 to look at the top five free cards and place them in any order is really nice. So you can see out the top three. If you want to draw one, if you want one to use the effect to like excavate it and mill it, it's quite nice to basically order out how you want it.
Yeah, exactly, and that comes back to the whole being able to plan a turn or two ahead, because you know what you're drawing with what card, you know what needs to you can plan, like it's just having like three extra cards in your hand in a way, but you just need to know that you've got to draw them first.
Mm-hmm. And then with the other parts of the deck's theme, you have the four trunks, three pan, and then four of each of the SS4 Goku and the SS Goku. What was your reason behind having just these four and not any others, and for having a playset of three of them but only three of the pan?
So three of the pan was because she's a free blocker, but her effect only triggers once per turn because of the limit skill.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing too many of it was, well, kind of useless, but it's always nice to have an extra free mill to trigger off everything. So like being able to awaken my leader for free, free trips to Hells. It's just an extra target over the trunks as well, just because it's one of the ones that you can mill for free to set everything off. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Four trunks brawler. Again, it has the same activate main as the leader for a spirit boost, which again, if I know what my top card is, I can start milling the SS4 and the self restraints because those are the big ones. And being able to play a double strike, sometimes two a turn, for one energy each, and then popping something in rest mode is just so much value. And pretty much every game, turn 2, turn 3, my opponents were down to 3 life because of it. And then I could just set up, slow it down, and then control the game from there.
That sounds pretty cool. So like quite a nice engine to just have with all the generic yellow stuff.
Oh yeah, like it can choose between being really aggro and like really defensive, like at the drop of a hat. Like some games against the Soul Strikers, for example, where they've just got Zamasu out the wazoo. You use your entire turn, but it doesn't matter because you still have all the generic good yellow cards to keep you alive. And if they didn't have it, or if they don't have the floodgates, then they just die because you're summoning 2, 3, 4 double strikers a turn. And there's only so much you can do, and they've all got deflect as well. Well, not all of them, but the double strikers have deflect. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then with your super combos, you went for a 2-2 split with Krillin and Zamasu. Is there any reason why you went for that instead of a 4 of each?
I would say it was a pure genius tech choice of on my part, but it is literally because I only own 2 Krillin moments before comeback.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been waiting on the anniversary boxes to get the rest of it, but with the delays, I just haven't got around to picking any more up. And the Zamasu Sacred Disbeliefs were super combos I just had from Mecha Frieza, and so that's why I went 2-2. If I could, I would go maybe 3-1. There was a game where having that Zamasu super combo saved me. But yeah, no, you need the card draw. You've got enough in the way of tapping down and defensive options. So the Zamasu Sacred Disbelief was a non-issue, really. It was mostly a 10k tap something down, and apart from again like the one game, like I said, where it saved me, the Krillin's better. You need the draw.
Yeah, because that's the thing where you can stack the deck, you can see what you're going to draw as well, and that could be very handy.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously you chuck one to the bottom and it's a 2. And because you're normally drawing one for your turn anyway, it's the next 2 cards that you would see off the Unison, and it's just a nice just evens out.
And then with some of the every tech choices, you had 3 Cooler, 3 Vegeta, and then a full force playset of the Mecha Frieza and 2-8. Is there a reason why you had a full playset of a Mecha and only 3 of the Vegeta?
Yeah, so space was a little bit tight towards the end, and I was trying to find space for Swift Retaliation Cooler, because he wasn't in the list at the minute. So I had to drop something, and I figured that I needed the Floodgate because I wasn't playing any Nimbus, and I was expecting more aggro than what I went up against, and after seeing the top 16, I just maybe got lucky and dodged them all because I didn't play a single VJX deck. I didn't play any of the Goku Vegeta decks. Nothing that you would consider aggro, mostly control decks. So that's why I put Mecha in my testing. I struggled with boards that went wide. So instead of me trying to deal with one big thing, which is what the Prideful Transformation would deal with, I just went with the for Mecha Frieza because just again thinking I would come up against more aggro than what I did.
Okay. And did this Swift Retaliation Cooler come in handy with it free? Because I imagine with 3 of them, you were able to see it most games.
There's only one cooler. Sorry, do you mean the Prideful Transformation?
No, the Swift Retaliation.
There's only one in that.
Oh, there's only one. I had 3 on the list.
Oh. I've got 1 cooler and 3 Prideful Transformations.
I'll correct that on the list after then.
Yeah, no, I didn't play 3 coolers. That was Oh, I mean, I was thinking two, maybe. But then again, just trying to find the space for the one was hard enough, so I just stuck with the
Okay.
one. It seems like a standard one of.
And then I see you running the Return of the Dragon Fist Goku. Was there
Yeah.
a reason outside of other than um, space in the deck that you only run two?
I think two is just the right number for him. I tested three, and I'd always have him in my hand. He felt clumpy. One, I didn't feel like I saw him enough, so two was just a nice round number. And he was played every game. He's easy to find. He's easy to get out, and because he works so well with the Unison as well. His Spirit Boost 2, you don't even care. Um, a lot of the time, like he would be Violent Raised or he'd be Dimension Magics, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But when there was one matchup as well where as soon as he came down, it just blew his entire hand out the water because it was all battle cards and there's nothing he could do to stop the swings. So yeah, no,
Okay,
two is the right number, I think.
that's pretty good. And then with some of your other tech choices, um, so for the black cards you had, you only had one Poutine, and you went for a split between one Secret Identity and one SS4 Bardock. Do you feel that was useful for the tournament?
Uh, no, not really. Poutine, I think, was great, and I think should be included in every yellow deck that can manipulate your opponent's cards because she, if she hits the board, she generally sticks. So seeing more than one doesn't matter. So having the one, I think, is needed, and because there's a lot of stuff that'll tap stuff down, she can be out as early as turn two, turn one sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think she's great, but when it comes to the Overrealm, I put in the Mass Saiyan thinking I'd come up against more aggro, and like I can deal with the board, but only in a way that it'll tap it down so they don't kill me. So like there's not a lot of removal really outside of tapping it down and then playing the Brawler or the Dragon Fist.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't play Secret Identity once. Every time I saw him, I felt that the board states were so small and non-threatening that I just chucked him back every single time. So I would probably maybe in a best of three, he'd be a sideboard card as opposed to main board. But he was originally because again I don't have removal, and that was the thinking behind that.
Okay.
Um, eh, but SS4 Bardock, again underperformed for me. Because I played what I played. He was more of a distraction. Like I would play him deliberately, not to go for game, not to do anything other than, hey, look, I'm playing my Overrealm. You need to deal with it. And then as soon as they would deal with it, then I would play my Return of the Dragon Fist, or I'd play a Bardock instead because they were just better for me, and I knew they had an answer, and they just weren't using it. So SS4 Bardock was like the perfect distraction for that.
Okay. And then with your secret rare, you went for the Cell Zeno, which Gonorata.
Yeah.
Was this more useful? Because I know you can quite easily get out because you've got the 8 drop that can come down, and it's very easy for you to get a 4 drop out with the SS4 Goku. Do you feel this was the best choice, or would you prefer something like Kai or Hellku's
Uh,
Lineage?
yeah, no, I think Cell Zeno is perfect. The format slowed down a lot. There are very few aggro decks now outside of maybe one or two. And even then, those aggro decks still they get hit by the floodgates, and you're generally going to see turn five every single game. I saw Cell Zeno pretty much every game. I was able because there's just so much filtering in the deck. If you need a card, 2, 3 turns of trying to find it, you'll generally find it. He closed out the games on a couple of them. Um, it's just so easy to play. I mean, everything is a free play for one or
Mm-hmm.
come out for free, and it stacks up quickly. I mean, like one game I had to it was like 3 threes, a two, and a one just to get it. So my entire board gone. But that entire board was made the turn before. And then the very next turn, even though I didn't win with the Salzeno, my board was again full of a couple fours and a three, just because everything can be played for so cheap. Um, and it's like a Senzu bead turn. Like once you have 5 mana, you can do
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want. It doesn't matter what they do. If you want to play the Salzeno, you can get the Salzeno up.
Okay. And then for your extra card lineup, you had for the themed at Trip the Hill. I imagine that was there to basically to for free meet the conditions for uh, like the theme package. So basically just excavate and mill, and then with the ever free, what's the reason behind the ratios of that? Like a full set of power of the Super Saiyan, 2 Vegeta's Final Flash, and 3 of the new negates from the power evolution battle.
So yeah, Trip to Hell is key. It sets up your early awaken, and later in the game, it sets up as well just being able to mill something for free. Um, it's everyone knows what it does, and it's will 100% consistently awaken your leader, just because you can draw 2, chuck something back on top. It just sets your plays up. It's a 0 cost. It's got 2 different effects, and again, once you know what the top card of your deck is, you always know what the top card of your deck is. So it's just thematic. 4 power of a Super Saiyan, I felt again was required over the Final Flash, because the power of a Super Saiyan will extend your plays. You can tap something down. It'll then trigger your Poutine. It'll trigger your Bergamo. And also it's a negate as well. So it's just sometimes it's one of those. I wish I had one more negate. And if I've got 2 in my hand, I can do an activate battle to tap something else down, which will save me from an attack, and then I'll have another one for the counter attack. And there's not a lot of Unison hate still in the game. And Power of the Super Saiyan is just one of those cards that will tap down a Unison. And when people are playing booze, big 20k double strikes, or maybe like a Dark Brawly or something, just these big things that you have no interaction with, it really matters what order they swing in. And sometimes they forget that you're yellow and you have Power of the Super Saiyan, and you always get the right reaction and you tap on what you want.
Yeah, because
And that's
with
yeah, go on.
yellow, you got to remember that you got there's a massive Nimbus and Power Super Saiyan. So whatever you attack with, something is not going to be the right choice first time. Like if they attack with leader, they get Power to Super Saiyan, tap them the Unison. If they swing with the Unison, it's a massive taps down their leader
Yeah,
or battle card.
yeah, exactly. And you never feel like your whatever you do is right, because they always just seem to have the other card that you thought that they had. Um, and then that's why I only played the 2 Final Flash, because space was getting really tight, and I didn't feel that there would be boards going tall with double, triple strike and stuff like that against me, and it would mostly be wide boards with lots of attacks. But no, I was happy with that, the 4-2. And then the Freezer's Reinforcements at 3. Um, when I awaken at turn 2, the leader automatically drops me down to 5. So as soon
Yeah.
as I'm turn 2, I have 5. I can tap out and be completely fine, because it's turn 2, and Freezer's Armor Reinforcements is online for a free negate and then a blocker. So I'm always surviving my awaken turn. Um, and I've got my Unison set up, which then gives me Vegeta Prideful, and I've got a board with maybe a blocker or a double strike that they've got to deal with, or maybe even Pan as well. So it was just whenever you need to tap out because you've got to extend, having a free negate and then a blocker is just amazing. Um, that's what the ban list was trying to address. Took away all of this free casting stuff, but then obviously we still got so much free casting, in the sense that it's a negate and a blocker, and then sometimes as well it's this 10k swing if they're still unawakened. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I just needed to see it just for the consistent turn 2 awaken, have the Freezer's Armor Reinforcements, and I did that most of the games I had.
Okay. And then with the event, so as we said, it was 7 long rounds, which you end up going 5-1-1 with.
Yep.
Do you want to walk us through your matchups?
Yeah, sure. So the first round was a no-show. So all that hype, all that adrenaline just wasted because the guy didn't show up. So that was an easy first win. And then I had Red Gohan in the second round, which I won. Um, I was a bit sleep deprived for this event, so I wasn't really thinking. He top decked the Frieza and Goku secret rare from set 14. and I thought I just died because I couldn't remember what he did. And but then as soon as he played him and then he popped a life, I realized I still had one life left, and he wasn't able to swing. But if I hadn't taken, if I hadn't stopped the leader swing beforehand, when he had one card left in hand, then I would have just lost because it just burns you for one life, and I had completely forgot about that. So it woke me up to start thinking. Um, he was a nice guy as well. And no,
Mm-hmm.
Salzeno won that game, and he was just able to top deck his secret, but I had two life, so he couldn't do anything. Um, I had then round 3 and round 4 with Soul Striker games. The first Soul Striker guy, his English was a little bit bad, so the game almost went to time. There's like 20, 30 seconds left on the round just because of the language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Zamasu the Eliminator is a horrible card. I don't think it should exist. He saw all 4 copies, and it just slowed down the game to a point where, I mean, we probably could have done it a lot quicker if, again, the language barrier wasn't there. That's obviously not his fault. It was just because there was so much that needed to be done and sequenced in a way. It was just a long, grindy game. I won the 3rd round against the Spanish guy.
Mm-hmm.
The 4th round was another Soul Striker. He also saw his Zamasu the Eliminators, which dragged the game on. That was my only loss of the game, round 4, but I could have won. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was, again, it was the sleep deprived nature of me. I thought he had um, a Bojack Vegeta that can play itself from the drop to pop my card.
Yeah.
I asked him, and even though I know he said he didn't have it in his mana, I still thought he had it in his mana. So when I swung and he didn't negate, if I had just comboed up my entire hand, I would have had the game. But because I didn't, he was able to then get another turn and then kill me the following turn. So that was just my fault. But yeah, the blue games were just long and grindy because of Zamasu, because they have so many negates, because they have uh, access to all this stuff almost as much as what I've got to tap down to stop me from doing things. So, but
Mm-hmm.
that second Soul Striker was the one I lost. Round 5 was against Jiren, Big Red Jiren. We had a bit of an issue during the game with resolving effects. Um, he when he had Piccolo Jr. out the Unison, and
Mm-hmm.
I counterplayed with Vegeta while he was bringing out his big Jiren, the Zenith guy, 35k double strike multiple times.
Yeah.
Um, we resolved, he activated the effects of the Jiren, which was to pop my Goku Return of the Dragon Fist. I said, yeah, that's fine, no problem. Popped it, went to the drop. He then swung with the Jiren. I was like, right, okay, I declared blocker. And then he said, well, no, he should have died because of the Piccolo. And then we had a bit of a back and forth with it, with the whole. He missed the effect on uh, his Piccolo to kill the blocker. I had other answers in my hand as well, but just having that blocker on the board was it was just easier. I didn't waste as many resources, and then 2 3
Yeah.
turns later, because it was, well, we didn't have to get a judge involved. He wasn't happy about it. I felt a bit dirty about it. And but I ended up going on to win that game 2 3 turns later. I did say sorry at the end for the misunderstanding, but I don't think it still went down well. So
So I think
that,
with
that
that, because I think with that Piccolo Junior Unison is you can choose up to. So if you don't choose any,
yeah.
if you miss a time and don't choose anything, it counts as choosing 0.
Yeah, that's what I said. And because we had resolved the Jiren to kill my other card and went to the drop, and then he went to swing, and then I said no negates, and then went to do my blocker, and that's when he realized I still had it. That's yeah. So that was just, I think that was the worst. I don't like having to do that. I don't like having to. I don't like those confrontations in games. I think we should just be able to play, and everything just runs seamlessly. And the reason you
Yeah.
lose is because you've done everything you could and you couldn't do it. But yeah, that was the Jiren in round 5. Round 6 was against SS4 Bardock, the prismatic from the
Yeah.
anniversary.
Yeah.
And this is the game where my Son Goku the Dragon Fist would it because everything in his hand was a creature card, a battle card. Um, as soon as he came down and I Spirit Boost, he just couldn't activate anything because he didn't have any negates outside of his Gohan, or at least the power bursts he already had that he'd already used, and he had a hand of like 9, 10, 11. So as soon as I brought down the Son Goku Dragon Fist, it was an easy um, control up until I took his last 2 life with him.
Yeah.
I actually had both Return of the Dragon Fists out against him, and both with active Spirit Boosts on, and he went from 4-0 in that turn. Um, he seemed like a nice guy. We had a joke about afterwards about Mert being the best player in Europe, and that was his only loss up until then. So I took that as a little bit of, well, if I can beat him, maybe I can beat Mert as well. But I never found out, because in round 7, then I came up against the Icarus player, the only Icarus player I saw of the day, and it was a grind. Oh my god. Um, it was a back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And at no point did I think that this is going to go well for me, because he always had 10, 11, 12 cards more than me in my hand.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, if I had known, or if I paid more attention to maybe the format in America or other tournaments, I would have taken Icarus myself, because he runs a lot of the same cards. And it's just like, it seemed like such a better leader, even though mine's thematic. His is just, okay, I'm just going to draw a million cards.
Yeah.
And but yeah, he was the draw of the day. When it came down to it, we only had a couple minutes left, and we both had a bit of life left, and we just thought, I mean, we've been slugging it out for an hour now, pretty much. It's doesn't look like it's going to finish. Should we just end it here? And we both agreed then, yeah, no, it's probably the right call, because 7 rounds, we knew it was the last round anyway. Um, and yeah, it was just because it was like spattering your head against the wall. Everything you tried to do, he had an answer. Everything he tried to do, I had an answer. It wasn't fun to play.
Yeah.
Um,
That's one feeling I have when I play blue against blue. It's the exact same feeling.
yeah, but yeah, he also ran blue yellow with Zamasu's the Eliminators, and yeah, so that was my draw of the day, and obviously then with my one loss gave me 10th. Or yeah,
Yeah. Congratulations on that, man.
cheers, man.
So we don't know if we're going to get any more events because we haven't had any details about it. But if we were to get events, say in October, before we get the finals, which is hopefully at the end of the year,
Yeah.
would you take this deck again? And if you would there be any changes you would make?
I think because Icarus is a thing, um, and it just it feels like it's more consistent than my deck, even though my deck is 100% consistent. Like if I want something, I can get it. That's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But then instead of me having to think with 8, 9 cards in my hand, I'd much rather have 15, 16 cards in my hand, which is what an Icarus player can get.
Yeah.
So I think if everything stays the same as it is, I would probably take the yellow package and then go chuck that in Icarus, and then just play Icarus, because it seems like the better leader. Um, and then obviously you see the top 16, you see how many Icarus players there were, and I was like, okay, yeah, there's something there. So no, I don't think I could take him unless there was like a nerf or something to hit Icarus. But I doubt they will be, because I mean it's Icarus. It
Yeah,
just draws.
that's understandable because that is the thing with yellow, that there's always one yellow leader that does whatever every other yellow deck can do, but better. Like Icarus doesn't have to attack to get really a draw, and it can draw 2 cards a turn, so it can play
Yeah,
that skillless draw, swing combo that skillless draw never.
yeah. That's how our games went, and like I don't think he ever felt that he was in danger to lose. But like at the same time, just the amount of thinking from my end, just trying to keep up, because I had to use my cards in a specific way. Otherwise, I would just quickly go down to 0 cards, and he would still have 9, 10 cards, just because he's just drawing his entire deck. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, no, going forward, unless something happens, I think Icarus is the better yellow leader. So I'd probably just play him.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So before we end this, uh, is there any shouts you want to give to before we end the video?
Yeah, got a couple shout outs. I want to shout out to Blocky Stream, also known as Harry Rivers. He's the guy I nag when it comes to deck lists and building, and he's just like a second pair of eyes after I've looked at my list for a while, and I'll drop him a message and be like, "Oi, you look at my list, tell me what it needs," and then we generally go back and forth and get some ideas throwing and get some changes. And then I also want to shout out to just my local Dragon Ball scene. It's not been great since COVID. There's a group of them we've got on Facebook that well, it's been a bit inactive recently, but hopefully now with everything maybe going back to normal, we can start back up and uh, just get going. I mean, there's some great guys in there and some really good players, and it'd just be good to get everything back in the swing of things again.
What's your locals?
I'm from Swansea, so my locals is Gamers Emporium.
Oh yeah.
Um, and yeah, so I've got a good size normally, or used to. We used to have 12, 13, 14 people that show up for locals and stuff. So hopefully that can go back and we can start just having fun again, really. I think everyone's ready for in real life events to be a thing again. So
Yeah, because
uh,
I remember most of the Welsh locals and stuff, they get quite a few people, which is quite good.
yeah, we've got a couple people who are on teams that we've got some people on some European teams as well. And we've had a few people top in like Coventry and stuff like that. So yeah, we've got a few uh, we've got a few good players. We just don't get a chance to see each other and play as much as we used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you for coming on, man. Thank you for doing an interview because I know there are probably being people interested in seeing an SS4 Goku because it's one of the more unique decks that came top in the card market event. So thank you for
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
on.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
So thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. So bye for now.